hellhounds, chase ghosts, coming, sleep, watch out, demons, they're coming, run, sleep, hide, spirits, ghosts, hide, demons, hellhounds, ghosts, demons are coming.
Welcome home, my little hellhounds. Tonight we have two scary stories to sink our hellish teeth into. They were sent to me by a very talented writer. I'll put all their socials in the description below. Consider giving them a follow and helping them out by buying them a coffee. Please remember to subscribe and like the video and click the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload. We are so close to 250 subscribers. Our little channel is slowly growing. Now that's out the way, let's get right into it. Our principal's last day was our school's worst. Posted by Rose Black 2222. Principal Rosser was a fucking asshole. Most people in our school referred to him as Principal Rotter, including the other staff. I don't think there was a single person who had anything nice to say about him. He enjoyed that. Causing people's misery was his enjoyment. He made sure that what he did wouldn't get him in any kind of legal trouble. However, he milked it for all it was worth. He gave out detention slips like brochures and forced teachers to work ungodly long hours. If that wasn't bad enough, he'd never use the utensils in the lunchroom. Oftentimes, he'd just grab a handful of whatever food he wanted and drop it onto his plate. This is already considered rude and inconsiderate behaviour on its own. What made it worse, in Principal Rosser's case, was the fact he didn't wash his hands. When he wasn't doing that, he was busy confiscating things from students and teachers. Plus, he'd often steal from school funds and fundraisers. The reason why he acted like this was revealed on his last day. I shuffled into my first period class, groggy and tired. Our teacher, Mr. Hendrick, had his face down on his desk. His fingers were wrapped around a coffee mug, and a pot of it was in front of him. He groaned, lifting his head, revealing dark circles under his eyes, and pouring himself more coffee, despite it being piping hot, as indicated by the steam coming off it. He drained it in one gulp. Okay. Today we learned about... The intercom turned on, interrupting him. All staff and students report to the gym for a special announcement. A look of confusion came over Mr. Hendrick. Never mind then, he continued. Everyone, grab your things. Do you have any idea what this is about? My friend Kenny asked me. No clue, I replied, rubbing my eyes. We went into the gym. A mic and stand had been set up in front of the bleachers. Once everyone was present, Principal Rosser walked in carrying a large briefcase. He tapped the mic, testing to see if it was working, then cleared his throat before speaking. I'm sure you're all wondering what this is about. Well, it is to inform you that after many fun years for me at this school, today is my last day. Dead silence followed this for a couple of moments. Then the gymnasium erupted in applause. Mr. Hendrick went from about to fall asleep on the spot to standing up, clapping and whistling. As far as everyone was concerned, this was the second best thing that could have happened to Principal Rosser. When the cheering died down, he continued speaking. Which is why I'm going to make the most of this one. He held up his briefcase, undoing its latches. It fell open, revealing what looked to be an old journal. Murmurs of confusion came from everyone. What you're seeing are things I only bring out when it is time for me to leave a job. Would anyone like to read this? He held up the journal. Instantly, Kenny's hand shot up, faster than anyone else's. I didn't raise my hand because I found the situation too good to be true. I mean, why would someone like Principal Rosser do this? Given what I knew about him, it didn't make any sense. I wasn't the only one who thought this. There were other people there who kept their hands down. Unfortunately, Kenny didn't share this sentiment. He practically hopped down the steps, grabbing the journal from Principal Rosser's hand. Upon reaching the floor, he wasted no time in opening it. Principal Rosser's secrets were disturbing, to say the least. Kenny didn't read it all word for word, since it was pretty big. Rather, he skimmed through it, looking for the juicier parts. Principal Rosser not only turned out to be a dick, but a psycho as well. His journal detailed incidents of him committing assault, vandalism and theft among other crimes. In one entry, he admitted to stealing a handful of money from a charity jar. In another, he said that he punched a Girl Scout and stole both her cookies and money. These were just some of the many crimes he committed. Are all these true? Kenny asked him in shock. That's right, he replied, smiling slimily. Every last word of it. What the fuck is wrong with you? What entry are you on right now? Kenny glanced down at the journal. The one where you say you slashed Mr. Hendrick's tires. So that was you, he yelled, standing up. You bastard. That's right, Fred. That was for hiding your Twix bar from me, and now you're all about to pay. Once again, everyone became confused at Principal Rosser's words. If there's anything I hate, it's slackers, and that's what all of you are, he screamed, pointing. We shrunk back at his words, and the crazed glint he now had in his eyes. But now, he continued, you're going to pay. For you see, your hatred of me will spell your end. He cocked his thumb up at the ceiling. A lot of you have been wondering why I had these black lights installed last month. Well, now I'm going to finally answer that. He grabbed the mic from its stand and went over to the light switches. While all you lazy asses were busy sleeping in, I came into the gym early in order to make this, he said, flicking off the lights, then turning on the black lights illuminating a bunch of runic-type symbols on the floor, painted with invisible ink, and a large pentagram that took up most of it. It was difficult scrubbing over all of the crude pictures you all drew, plus the jokes you wrote about me, but now it'll all be worth it. He reached into the inside of his suit, pulling out a knife. "Shit," Kenny yelled, stepping back. "What are you going to do with that?" I felt my heartbeat quicken, seeing that knife. Principal Rosser, now sporting a chillingly wide grin, replied to Kenny, "Now that I've gotten both extreme joy and anger, it's time for the last step." He began chanting in what I think was Latin. Then, before anyone realised what was happening, he had brought the knife down and sliced open his own palm, making us all gasp. He let out an orgasmic moan as he let the blood from his palm drip onto the pentagram, resulting in it becoming a flame. "What the fuck?" Kenny yelled. There was no way past the fire due to how big the pentagram was. As if that didn't freak us out enough, Principal Rosser started levitating off the ground. His eyes had become black, and he was letting out a maniacal laughter. It was at that point everyone decided getting the fuck out of there would be a good idea. Fortunately, there were some exit doors beside the bleachers. Unfortunately, the panic spreading throughout the gym was causing everyone to trip over each other. Despite all of this, I managed to make it to the floor before anyone else could. It wasn't because I was particularly fast. It was because I ended up getting knocked down the stairs. Kenny had already gotten to the double doors. "You're not going anywhere," Principal Rosser declared, sprouting multiple arms from his back and stretching them across the gym to grab people who were trying to escape. "What the fuck are you?" I croaked in fear at him. Horns grew out of his head, making me realise that he was a demon. I wondered why I wasn't that surprised by this revelation. That didn't make it any less horrifying though. Those he grabbed screamed as they were being dragged across the floor. What he did to them next was far more terrifying than what I had seen thus far. "What are you going to do to us?" Mr. Hendrick asked in a shaky voice, as he and others were being dangled upside down. "Thanks for volunteering." Principal Rosser's mouth grew wide, and eyes began glowing. The screams of those he was holding ceased, and their eyes also started glowing. What I saw next I can only describe as Principal Rosser sucking out their essence. The light from them entered his mouth in a stream. As it did, they grew older, and Principal Rosser became younger. His hair went from being mostly grey to black, and his wrinkles faded. Not only that, the colour of his eyes was changing, going from brown to blue. Not only that, his hair was going from blonde to black, which was the colour of Mr. Hendrick's hair. I realised then that Principal Rosser was taking on the appearance characteristics of his victims. When he was finished, their now dried up bodies crumbled to dust. "That felt so good," he grinned, looking at the rest of us. "Are you going to do that to us next?" I asked in a weak voice. "No, I can only do that to those who unwittingly agree to it. In other words, those who didn't raise their hands are safe." Seeing as how several of my bones were broken, the word safe was being used in a very loose sense. "But now that you mention it," Principal Rosser continued, "I feel as though I'm forgetting something." He glanced over at the doors and saw that Kenny had snuck towards them and was nearly outside. Principal Rosser went from gleeful to enraged, letting out a roar that shook the gym and sent chills down my spine. He shot his arm towards Kenny. "Fuck!" Kenny yelled, getting dragged to the floor. He happened to get pulled by me and my heart sank when he grabbed my arm with his free hand. Understandably, the fear he was experiencing caused his grip to be like iron. That didn't stop Principal Rosser though. He yanked us towards him. Now he didn't know that Kenny had taken hold of me. Due to this, his anger turned into surprise when he saw me coming towards him. Realizing what was about to happen, I braced myself for impact. My face collided with Principal Rosser's, breaking his nose, causing him to cry out in pain and drop us onto the burning pentagram. To my surprise, it didn't burn us. When the stars in my vision cleared, I noticed that the blood gushing from my nose had gotten onto the pentagram, somehow causing the fire to disappear. "You idiots," he roared at us. "You disrupted the circle." His body began jerking and his many arms retracted back into his body, as well as his horns. "I was so close," he screamed, stomping his foot. "So, does this mean you're not going to kill me?" Kenny asked. Principal Rosser's head whipped in his direction. "Yes, that's exactly what it means. God damn it. I better get out of here." The wallets of his victims had fallen out of their pockets. He gathered them, then ran out of the door. I managed to get to my feet and saw that those left were also injured, thanks to the chaos of everyone trying to escape. As a matter of fact, Kenny and I were the only ones still conscious. "You used me as a meat shield," I growled at him. "Is that really what's important right now?" Still very angry with him, but knowing he was right, we called the hospital and the police. Of course, telling them the truth would have made us look insane, so we came up with a more believable explanation. We told them that Principal Rosser had lied about there being a bomb in the school, which had caused massive panic. Luckily, they didn't press us further for information. That explanation ended up being the one the rest of the school went with. Police searched his home and found it was almost entirely empty, like he'd been ready to move at any moment. Since he was already long gone by then, there wasn't much they could do. At least, we got the rest of the day off. However, what he did to the school haunted it for quite some time after. Even when the school got a new principal, we still worried about seeing him again. Eventually, this feeling did go away. It's all in the past now, but God help the poor bastards who end up with him as their supervisor. We ordered pizza from the deep web. Posted by Rose Black 2222. 22. It was the summer of my junior year when the events of this story took place. My brother and I were chilling at home playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl when we heard a knock on our door. I answered it to see our older brother standing at our doorstep. "Ted," I cried out. "Nice to see you, Brad. Is Harry here?" "Yeah, he and I are playing some Brawl. Care to join us?" Ted responded with a "fuck yeah." Then he stepped inside. While playing with him was fun, his faster reflexes and greater experience with the game meant he'd beat us 8 out of 10 times. Even when we tried to team up on him, we soon switched to other games, Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, and Metroid Prime. But soon we grew bored. I figured we could pass the time by playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something. However, Ted suggested we should browse the deep web. "Isn't that dangerous?" I asked. "Yeah, Ted, we've heard stories about people going on there, then having their info leaked and strangers stalking their homes. Our brother informed us as long as we didn't commit the classic amateur deep web browsing mistakes, we'd be fine. Said mistakes were not using a VPN and not unplugging our webcam, or at least covering it up if we happened to be on the laptop, which we were. After making sure the laptop's built-in mic and webcam were covered in duct tape, we went on the deep web. For the most part, it wasn't really as exciting as we were expecting. The best thing we came across was a space shooter in which we played as a giant penis, shooting sperm at spaceships. Next we found a live stream that had a man dancing in just his underwear while rubbing cream cheese on his chest, and he had clothespins attached to his nipples. Not that I want to see anyone get killed or anything like that, but is there anything actually interesting to do on here? I asked. We can check out some more things in a bit. Right now, I'm hungry though. Yeah, me too. As bizarre as it is to say, I think watching this guy has made me hungry for cheese. Do you guys have any food in the kitchen? No, but Mum left us some money if we wanted to order something, Harry said. I was about to propose ordering pizza when coincidentally an ad for pizza popped up on the screen. It read, "Deep Web's Deep Dish Pizza." I kinda like the name. Should we click on it, or do you think it may be a virus? Harry asked Ted. It might be. Do you want to risk it? Oh, what the hell. This is an old laptop anyway. Ted clicked on the banner, which opened up a menu. On that menu was some of the most mouth-watering pizzas we've ever seen. Not only pizza, but also pasta, breadsticks, mozzarella sticks, and desserts, among other things. Hell, even the salad looked presentable for a pizza place. Above the picture was a button that said, "Order here." We talked about what we wanted for a few minutes, and eventually we decided on a meat lover's pizza with olives, mushrooms, and stuffed crust, mozzarella sticks, apple pie pizza, and 2 big bottles of Dr. Pepper. Just as a precaution, we decided to pay in cash and make sure we put the address in as somewhere public that was close by. When we arrived at our location, which was the library down the street, we saw the delivery guy who had our order waiting by the front desk. regular looking dude. He looked to be in his early 30s. What was odd was that he wasn't wearing a uniform or anything. He just had regular clothes on. We paid for our food, then we went outside to eat it in Ted's car. It was fucking delicious. The meat was cooked just right, and the cheese was super stringy. We were busy trying some of the apple pie pizza and mozzarella sticks when we heard someone tap on the driver's window. We looked out to see the delivery guy holding up a bottle of Dr. Pepper. The food was so good we didn't even notice we were missing one. He motioned for Ted to put down his window. Ted did so. Then the man apologised for forgetting and handed Ted the Dr. Pepper. "By the way, how's the pizza?" the man asked. "This stuff kicks ass. We'll have to order from you guys more often," Ted replied. "Glad you liked it, but to make up for my foolish mistake earlier, how about I give you guys something extra?" "Oh, you don't have to do that," the man insisted, and eventually we caved. He ran to his car and came back with a small box. He told us it was filled with cookies, then handed it to Ted. "Well, that was nice of him," I said as the man walked away. "Let me get a couple of those cookies." "You got it," Ted replied, opening the box. However, instead of cookies, what we saw inside looked to be some kind of smoke grenade, and it went off, sending fumes throughout the car. The fumes must have been some kind of knockout gas, because we began to feel really dizzy. The last thing I saw before passing out was the man smiling at me through the window, and unfortunately there wasn't anyone else outside. When we woke up, we found ourselves in a musty, smelly room with single floor lamp beaming down on us like a spotlight, but very dimly lit. We figured we must be in a basement. All three of us were tied up with rope. In the middle of the floor, from out of the shadows, appeared the man. The dim light of the lamp was the only thing illuminating his face. "Look who is finally awake," he exclaimed. "You crazy motherfucker, let us go," Ted demanded. "Let you go? I can't do that. I like to share something with customers who appreciate my cooking." "Wait, you made those pizzas?" I asked. "Yes, I did. I run this business all by myself." "And what exactly are you going to share with us?" Harry asked hesitantly. "They say you are what you eat, so I'll make you guys into pizza," he said, flipping a switch to turn on the overhead light. Now you may be thinking, if he had a regular light, why did he even bother with that stupid lamp? To be honest, I don't know. The man was odd, to say the least. The only thing I can think of is that he did it for dramatic effect. Anyway, when he turned on the light, it revealed at least a dozen naked corpses hanging on hooks along the walls, and they each had parts missing. One girl had her head missing. The man laughed when he saw our horrified expressions. "You sick fuck," Harry cried out. "Never heard that one before. Oh, and just so you know, this is where the meat for my meat lovers pizza comes from." "Wait, so you mean that we've been eating?" "That's right, bitches. You've been eating people meat." All three of us started gagging. "Oh, come on, don't throw up. I've had enough cleaning to do as it is," the man said. "And I'm guessing you are going to kill us. Then make us into toppings?" I asked. "Hey, you catch on quick. Now, I'll give you a couple of minutes to decide who'll be first," the man said, sharpening a knife with his back turned. I looked over to see what my brothers were doing. It turned out Harry and Ted had found 2 shards of glass that the man must have forgotten to pick up, and were trying to cut away their ropes with it. They both gave me a look, so I knew that I had to be the one to distract him. The man turned, sporting a wide, toothy smile and holding a large carving knife, then began walking towards us. Luckily, he couldn't see what my brothers were doing from where he was. "Wait," I said, sitting up. "What is it?" he asked, with a hint of annoyance in his voice. "I was just wondering how one gets to be a cannibalistic pizza maker." "Are you stalling?" "No, I just figured someone with such an interesting occupation must have an interesting background." "Well, it's not like anyone will be able to find us out here. I suppose I can summarize to you guys what my life has been like." We all made sure to look at him and pretend to seem interested. See, I grew up the middle child of our 4 brothers and 5 sisters. Everyone in my family had a natural cooking ability. That is, except for me. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get the hang of it. Something my family chastised me greatly for. When I was 16, I did the only rational thing I could think of. I drugged my entire family, cut off parts of their flesh, then baked my first pizza using the meat. And let me tell you, it was a damn good pizza. I even made my family eat it, but they threw it up. I could tell they liked the taste of it though, and so did you guys. Did you kill your family? Oh, of course, and I burned all the evidence after that. I drifted for a while, setting up my business in different places before I came here. I admit, running things was difficult. It wasn't easy getting victims. That is until I stumbled across this deep web stuff. I must say, it's very convenient and a great way for me to run things. Now, have you decided who will be first yet? Because if not, I'll decide for you. Actually, we have, I said, feeling 2 sharp objects poke my palm. Who will it be then? Shards. The man gave me a confused look that quickly turned to surprise when Harry and Ted sat up, as I laid on my side. Before the man could react, they threw the shards of glass at him. One went right into his throat, and the other in his face, cutting a gash right next to his eye. He staggered back, gasping at his temple and neck bled. My brothers quickly pulled off the rest of their ropes. Then Ted charged the man while Harry untied my rope. Once I was free, we joined Ted in kicking the shit out of this dude. It turned into a good old-fashioned brotherly ass whooping. I mean, we went to town on this guy. We kicked him in the ribs for a few minutes. Then we took turns stomping on his crotch. We even did that thing where Harry got him up and held his arms behind his back, and Ted and I took turns gut punching him over and over until he went limp to the floor, gasping for air. As much fun as it was beating the crap out of this asshole, Harry eventually went upstairs and found a phone in the house and called the police. When they arrived, you could tell some of them were freaked out by how crazy the scene looked. A couple of detectives took our statements, while some uniformed officers wearing latex gloves started bagging evidence. 2 more officers arrested the man, noting he was lucky that 1 shard of glass didn't go any deeper into his neck. After the detectives got all the information they needed from us, another officer then gave us a ride back to the library. You know, throughout the questioning, there was one thing we all three forgot to mention. We still had some of that pizza left over in Ted's car. And I know we should have turned it into the police, but as crazy as that guy was, he was right about one thing. That pizza was damn good, and my brothers and I figured, why let good food go to waste? And that's it for tonight, my little hellhounds. Thank you for listening. If you like this content and want more, then subscribe and click the like button and click the bell icon so you know every time I upload. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at homeofscares and submit your stories to Reddit r/homeofscares. Now, good night, my little hellhounds.